Lila and Emma sat on the floor of Lila's bedroom, surrounded by the glow of fairy lights that hung lazily across the walls. The air was filled with youthful excitement, punctuated by the muffled sounds of an entertaining world outside. They both loved stories, tales of adventures and mysteries that transported them beyond their suburban lives. Lila had something darker in mind. The shadows danced playfully in the dim light. Lila leaned closer, her voice dipping into a whisper filled with enthusiasm. The legendary Bloody Mary, ghostly figure said to emerge from the depths of mirrors when her name was chanted thrice. Lila's eyes sparkled with intrigue as she recounted how Bloody Mary sought revenge or revealed dark secrets to those daring enough to summon her. Emma's brow furrowed, a flicker of doubt crossing her face. Always been skeptical of urban legends. A thought of invoking a spirit unsettled her. Lila noticed her friend's unease, yet pressed on, describing the terrifying lore surrounding the apparition in vivid detail. About the chilling stories of those who had seen her story that sent shivers down the spines of anyone who dared to listen. Despite her misgivings, Emma found herself drawn to Lila's enthusiasm. There was something undeniably alluring about the thrill of fear, a test of bravery hidden within a story. With a nervous laugh, she pondered aloud what it might be like to actually summon Bloody Mary, to stand before the mirror under the heavy cloak of night. Lila's excitement heightened at the suggestion. She insisted, concocting plans as her mind raced with possibilities. The air thickened with an intoxicating sense of adventure. Emma, albeit hesitantly, decided to join in on the eerie quest, the bond of friendship propelling her forward, even as apprehension gnawed at her insides. With their decision made, whispers of excitement echoed between them, bouncing off the walls of the cozy room. There was a heady mixture of enthusiasm and dread, a wild concoction that stirred their hearts. The stories were chilling, but maybe that was part of the thrill. The sway of the moment. They felt ready to call upon the spirit that lurked beyond the edge of myth. Darkness fell outside, casting shadows that danced like flickering ghosts. Lila felt the rush of playful adrenaline. He envisioned the gathering that would take place in her dimly lit bathroom, planning each detail meticulously. Emma, meanwhile, chewed on her nails, her heart racing at the thought of confronting something so unknown, the edges of fear weaving tighter around her. Lila's mind swirled with the possibilities, and as they prepared for this nocturnal adventure, excitement buzzed in the air like static electricity. Little did they know, the air was about to shift dramatically, leading them into a world where light wanes and shadows deepen the world where Bloody Mary awaits, eternal and relentless. With each moment that passed, their hearts beat faster, anticipation coiling tighter. Lila's adventurous spirit was unwavering, but Emma's skepticism lingered, whispering for her to reconsider. A night loomed ahead, thick with possibilities, as they prepared to summon what should perhaps remain undisturbed. All thoughts wandered towards the legend, the mystery, and the consequences they hadn't yet begun to comprehend. The night deepened. Lila felt a rush of exhilaration coursing through her veins. A thrill of the challenge stirred her senses, while Emma could barely hide her trepidation. Close to Lila, gripping the edges of her sweater, her heart echoing in her chest. Tyler, ever the instigator, leaned against the bathroom doorframe, an audacious grin plastered on his face, challenging both girls with a stare that dared them to back down. With the flickering candlelight casting long shadows, Lila instructed them to gather around the small, round mirror that hung on the wall. Stepping into an ancient rite, a pulse of intimacy and vulnerability enveloping the trio. Emma's unease grew, and she took a breath, attempting to channel her apprehension into a semblance of bravery, but the dimness pressed upon her, heavy and thick. "Are you ready?" Lila's voice was low and steady, confidence dripping from every syllable. He turned toward Tyler, who feigned a lack of concern as he puffed out his chest. Out lurked behind his bravado, but he masked it well, each gesture designed to taunt the timidness bubbling within Emma. They lit the candles, a chill wafted through the air, but Lila brushed it off, believing it was a figment of their collective imagination. "We're just going to chant her name 3 times. Her excitement rippled through the atmosphere, but Emma felt a knot tightening in her stomach. With the soft glow of candlelight illuminating their faces, Lila turned to the mirror, her dark hair framing her determined expression. A ritual felt ancient, calling to the beyond that neither of them fully understood. Emma glanced at Tyler, who nodded, still locked in his masquerade of courage. The anticipation crackled in the air as they took a step closer together, hands hovering just above the cool surface of the sink. On three, Lila said, her voice barely above a whisper. A moment stretched, time itself seemed to still, as they synchronized their breaths. 1, 2, 3. Their voices melded in the dim room, echoing softly as they chanted, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. Each repetition pulled them further into a trance-like state, a cocktail of fear and intrigue, resonating through their collective energy. First, nothing stirred in the mirror. Emma found relief swelling within her, her heart gradually resuming its steady rhythm. Yet Lila urged them onward, failing to notice how Emma's body tensed at the edges of anxiety. They were plunged into a thick silence, their voices fading as an invisible weight settled around them. They chanted once more, while the shadows danced playfully along the tiles, igniting a whisper of doubt in Emma's mind. Just as the final syllable escaped their lips, an intangible wafting chill forced its way into the atmosphere, intertwining with the flickering candlelight. A reflection in the mirror began to morph. Fleeting shadow flitted across the glass as the lights began to stutter, casting eerie silhouettes throughout the bathroom. Emma's heart sank, her breathing quickened, caught in the storm of emotions swirling around her. Lila's excitement ignited anew. A thrill of uncertainty fueled her, and she took a bold step forward, eyes glued to the mirror. Tyler shifted, whispering something almost inaudible, as he shifted his weight uncomfortably, still feigning bravery. Their breath, shallow and quickened, echoed in the small space. Emma's instincts screamed at her to flee the bathroom, where shadows now seemed alive. Eyes were fixed upon the mirror, drawn in by the shimmering distortion teasing them from within. Just then, as if time paused, the flickering stopped. The illusion wavered once again, and then it came a figure of a woman, shadowy and undefined, materialized for the briefest moment before being swallowed back into the depths of the glass. Gasps spilled into the air like shattered glass, widening their eyes with fascination and horror. With fear gripping her, Emma instinctively took a step back, yet Tyler stepped forward, enchanted by the apparition's presence. His bravado faltered but was replaced by curiosity, drawing him closer as he squinted at the mirror, demanding to see what had just graced their sight again. Lila, feeling the magnetic pull of the unknown, felt her heart race in anticipation, while simultaneously battling the primal urge to run. The room thickened, turning the air to ice as whispers slithered through the dim space, amplifying their collective fear to a cacophony of restrained panic. Emma's instincts flared, pushing her closer to the bathroom door, her body urging her to escape the unfolding mystery. But Lila fought against it, entranced by the intrigue swirling in the dark. The mirror beckoned her like a siren's song, a paradoxical challenge she could not resist. The tension peaked and the atmosphere buzzed with unease. Their fates hung delicately in the balance, unaware of the wrath that awaited should they dare venture further into the enigma of Bloody Mary. The clock struck midnight. A profound stillness enveloped Lila's house. It clung to the corners of the bathroom, punctuated only by the flickering light of the candles they had carefully arranged around them. A mirror stood tall and imposing, reflecting their anxious faces, a gateway to the unknown. Lila felt a pulse of excitement mixed with an undercurrent of fear, while Emma's eyes darted nervously across their dimly lit surroundings, grappling with the looming dread. Tyler, standing bravely within the circle they had formed, wore a smug grin, his bravado shining through the tension in the air. He thrived on the aura of fear, clearly enjoying the moment far too much. They lit the last candle. Its flame danced eerily, casting long shadows that elongated and twisted on the tiles. Lila took a deep breath, her heart racing in synchrony with the anticipation that enveloped them. With whispered chants, Lila instructed them to join in, to murmur the name, their voices barely breaking the silence as they repeated Bloody Mary in unison. Their breaths mingled, and with each repetition, the atmosphere shifted, thickening with an unshakable intensity. Lila could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on them, as if the very air inside the room was charged with electricity. Emma hesitated, the initial thrill being consumed by an all-consuming unease. He stole glances at the mirror, half expecting the apparition to appear at any moment. Just as doubt crept into the corners of her mind, the chant continued, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, and for an instant, silence fell around them like a heavy blanket. Lila felt encouraged by the moment and urged them to keep chanting, compelled to push through the fear that fogged Emma's mind, believing they could handle whatever awaited them. They reached the final chant. A sudden flicker in the lights caused them to jump, the spectral glow casting unsettling shapes across the wall. Then it happened. A fleeting shadow appeared within the mirror, barely noticeable yet undeniably present. Wavered, a flicker of movement that sent chills racing down their spines. The candle flames flickered violently. Tyler gasped, breaking the spell for a moment. They all stared wide-eyed at the mirror, tension coiling tightly around their throats like a vise. A bathroom air grew cold, an unnatural chill enveloping them, biting against their skin. A moment felt suspended in time, curiosity battling with terror. Emma, fighting the impulse to flee, felt a magnetic pull that kept her rooted to the spot, her gaze transfixed on the mirror. The apparition had a hold over her, one she couldn't shake off. Then, amidst the silence, a faint whisper carved its way through the room, chilling their very bones. Each syllable dripped with malice, filling the air with a sense of dread that clawed at their senses. They could feel it now, the weight of their decision pressing down on them, consequences of their summoning unraveling before them. Tyler, attempting to regain some semblance of bravery, moved closer to the mirror, his heart pounding. Deep down, he felt the thrill of the unknown, egging him on to confront whatever lay within. Lila watched, torn between fear for her friend and her own morbid curiosity. Emma felt her stomach churn, her instinct urging her to turn and run, but something deep within her prevented movement. A moment reached its peak, reality shifted, and the world warped. Wrapped in a heartbeat, the anticipation a tangible entity now, as the shadows surrounding the mirror flickered and swirled ominously. Suddenly, the bathroom door creaked open just a sliver, sending a jolt down Emma's spine. Was it just the house settling, or was there something more? Without warning, as if drawn from the depths of a dark abyss, the form of Bloody Mary materialized within the mirror. Her features were indistinct, shrouded in shadows, yet her presence radiated an undeniable power. Candlelight flickered wildly, casting her figure in and out of clarity, a ghostly visage that loomed over them, murmuring secrets of betrayal and regret. Lila felt her heart race, a strange mix of exhilaration and sheer terror flooding her senses. That moment, a realization struck her. They had awakened something ancient and furious, and whatever lay before them was beyond their control. The lines between fear and fascination blurred as she stood mesmerized, feeling the very essence of the legend come alive. Then, within that chilling silence, a fracture began to form a crack in the mirror that spread like an angry spider web. Warning, a terrifying signal that the balance of their summoning was rapidly tipping into chaos. Confusion melted into panic, and amidst the discord, the realization dawned on them all. They had crossed a threshold they could never return from. An exhilarating yet horrifying moment. They all took a step back, understanding the truth. They had summoned more than just a ghost. They had breached a realm where secrets lay buried, and some should never be unearthed. They faced the whispering figure of Bloody Mary. The full weight of their actions settled like a shroud over them, sending cold shockwaves of dread coursing through their veins. The chilling encounter began to unravel. The bathroom became a realm steeped in uncertainty and dread. A pulse of fear thrumming through each echo in the air, yet something deeper compelled her to confront the mystery of Bloody Mary. Emma, meanwhile, hovered at the edge, straddling the line between flight and fight, her instincts urging her to break free from this chilling ritual. Just then, the atmosphere shifted, growing heavier, as if the very walls were watching them. Eiler's bravado faltered as he wore a mask of growing uncertainty, realizing the gravity of their actions. He glanced back at Lila, who remained captivated, her eyes reflecting a mixture of excitement and a hint of blustering courage, momentarily blinding her to the peril unfolding around them. Eerie chill withdrew and then rolled back in like a thick fog, as whispers began to coil around them, slinking through the shadows. Under their skin, igniting the hairs on their arms and setting their hearts racing. Emma's resolve trembled, and she urged a glance at Tyler, who stood wide-eyed, both fascinated and terrified, still eager to see whatever lay beyond the cracked surface of the glass. And, without warning, a voice sliced through the silence, soft yet chilling, echoing like a lament from another world. Ensnared their senses, silencing their fears momentarily, pulling their focus back to the breathless mirror. A whispering storm became an incantation, laced with an ethereal quality that stitched together fragments of despair and vengeance. Of movement caught their eyes, a shimmer of something unnatural. Lila moved closer, entranced, her heart pounding louder than the mounting tension, as shadows began to swirl within the mirror. Suddenly, a chilling presence enveloped the room in darkness, smothering the candlelight. Each flickering flame gasped for breath as a form coalesced within the depths of the glass. A figure, a woman, luminous yet clouded, emerged partially, a face full of sorrow tempered with rage, and an unyielding gaze that sparked a sense of foreboding. Whispers intensified. The figure gestured towards Lila, urging her towards the unknown knowledge that lay ahead. That moment, Lila felt a grotesque urge to step forward, something deep within her wanting to know the truth behind the legend. The fear flooding the room, a small voice inside her warned of the darkness that might await her curiosity, a harbinger of secrets unfit for mortal ears. Emma, unable to take her eyes off the unfolding spectacle, felt the icy tendrils of dread clutch her heart. All the stories about Bloody Mary and the terrors she was said to unleash flickered through her mind, igniting the very real worry that they'd let something dark into their lives, a force they could not control or comprehend. She called out a soft plea to Lila, the words barely escaping her lips as she felt the room attempting to engulf them whole. But it was Tyler who spoke, having been propelled by a rush of machismo. He edged closer, his gaze locked onto the apparition, seemingly forgetting the trepidation etched across Emma's face. "One," he demanded, more boldly than he felt, eliciting a moment of stillness where shadows hovered like a breath held in anticipation. The apparition drew closer yet again, and the air rushed in with a symphony of whispers, revealing clarity in a way that only those on the precipice of horror could experience. The emotion radiating from her was palpable, sadness intermingled with anger, a ghost seeking recognition, lost stories yearning to be unveiled. Each realization stirred an understanding deep within Lila that this was no mere game. They had unwittingly stepped into the pages of a story forgotten, one written in fear and grief. An act of defiance, Tyler turned to Lila, attempting to regain some semblance of control in the chaos. That moment, beneath the overwhelming dread, a dark secret loomed, a truth that had nestled itself within their friendship, slowly unraveling like a frayed thread. Tyler, backed into a corner by his own bravado, blurted out Lila's deepest fear at that very instant, something she had never intended to let escape. "You wanted to know the truth all along, didn't you, about yourself?" he said, his voice cracking under pressure. All eyes darted back to the mirror, a reflection of betrayal shimmering against the dark, the apparition watching, waiting. Words hung heavily, echoing in the silence, as Lila's face blanched, her heart thrumming a rhythm of sheer disbelief. This crushing moment, that which belonged only to her, was laid bare, escalated by the spectral presence waiting for their confessions, the legend of Bloody Mary demanding acknowledgement. Reality cascaded into chaos. Lila sensed the spirit's rage burgeon, the air thickening with the weight of expectations unfulfilled and secrets unsaid. A mirror shook as an oppressive force rippled through the room, exploding with fury, causing the candles to flicker violently and and smoke to snake through the air like tendrils of darkness. That moment encapsulated the essence of their terror, bound by the very fears they had concealed. As Lila fought against the darkness, her will drawn by an inevitable confrontation with the savagery of unacknowledged truths, she realized they had awakened something within themselves, something that transcended the mirror. The atmosphere thickened. A spirit screamed in silence, a fluttering shadows beckoning. Lila knew deep down that their journey had only just begun a spiral into the heart of their secrets. Light and darkness would weave together in an unending dance, echoing through time and haunting their souls, forever tethered to a legend that would never fully relent. The stillness of the night had settled heavily around Lila's home, and the very air within the bathroom crackled with a tension that set every nerve on edge. Candles' flickering flames cast an eerie glow, illuminating the shimmers of fear and excitement dancing across Lila and Emma's faces. Eiler, standing defiantly close to the mirror, wore a smirk that barely hid his apprehension. The powerful chill swept through the room. Bloody Mary's ethereal form flickered in and out of view. Her spectral presence loomed over the three friends, drawing them closer to the edge of both fascination and dread. Desperate whispers echoed softly, words lost in the flickering shadows, filling the space with secrets best left buried. Each pulse of light from the candles illuminated the moment, before plunging them back into darkness, igniting the atmosphere thick with uncertainty. Lila took a trembling breath. The thrill was intoxicating yet frightening. She found herself steeped in a blend of courage and fear, drawn to the mirror as if it beckoned her. He sensed Emma shrinking back, the instinct for self-preservation kicking in. Visceral need, primal call to flee from the unknown that was rapidly unraveling around them. Eiler, defiant and daring, leaned closer to the reflection. He was caught in the exhilaration, convinced he could confront whatever lay within. He extended a hand towards the mirror. The air shifted violently, drawing a gasp from Emma. Faint whispers grew clearer, wrapping around them like the tendrils of a dark mist, whispers that wove tales of betrayal, heartbreak, and sorrow. That moment, a realization struck Lila hard. They were not just interacting with a legend. They were entangled in something real, something vengeful. The hair on the back of her neck prickled as echoes of warnings from the old tales flooded her mind. Where every summon must meet a price, and she could feel the weight of their collective recklessness hanging heavily within the bathroom's confines. Eiler, back away. Emma's voice cut through the mounting tension, tinged with panic. Too late. The boundaries had already shifted. If fueled by that very fear, Bloody Mary's presence intensified, and with an earth-shaking force, the mirror shattered, a loud crack reverberating like thunder through the walls. Shards of glass cascaded forward, each piece holding fragments of an untold story, glinting darkly in the candlelight. Instinctively stepped back, heart racing in terror. Eiler took a step away, eyes wide, now realizing the magnitude of what they had dared to summon. The shadows around them seemed to writhe and coil, an embodiment of wrath unleashed. The chaos of the moment, Lila felt a pull, an unsettling connection to Bloody Mary's essence. Her breath came fast, her heart thundered in her ears as the words spilled out of her. They had awoken something within the darkness, something that predated them, something that had tasted vengeance and sorrow in its endless existence. Lila, we need to leave. Emma's urgent whisper was thick with fear, but Lila was frozen, caught in the web of her own intrigue and regret. The bathroom felt alive with the spirit's presence, the spun threads of a dark labyrinth taking form around them. The air sank to a bitter cold, the warmth from the candles fading into the thickening shadows. Lila turned to look at her friends, fear etched across Emma's face and disbelief hanging heavily on Tyler's features. A reminder of the reality they had stepped into. The consequences now hung between them like a fragile gossamer thread. Then the apparition spoke, her voice swirling in wretched echoes, the tone layered with centuries of grief and anger. With each word, the story of Bloody Mary unraveled before them, shrouded in pain of betrayal, the secrets of her life transected by dark forces that had driven her to vengeance. The whispers grew sharper. Lila suddenly understood the burden that accompanied the stories she had been so eager to explore. There was no turning back now. They had crossed the point of no return. A thrill had faltered, replaced by a profound understanding of the realm they had disturbed, the balance they had shattered. "Lila, you can't give in to her," Emma cried, struggling against the pull. But Lila held steady, knowing that in this moment, she had to confront the truth of their actions. Whatever lingered beyond the mirror was now tied to them, an eternal bond sealed by recklessness. The tension peaked. The realization hit them all. They had awakened the past and provoked a curse that would haunt them far beyond this night. In a final, desperate attempt to reclaim the fragments of their shattered reality, Lila closed her eyes and relayed a silent plea to Bloody Mary in acknowledgement of her pain. Her sorrow, the tragic course of events that led to this moment. Spirit was not swayed by sorrow. A room trembled as Bloody Mary's fury reached its zenith, shadows coiling tighter as each wave of dark energy surged around them. Girls' pleas fell silent against the tempest of age-old vengeance, a chilling reminder that some legends are better left undisturbed. That split second, Lila grasped Emma's arm, their shared fear sparking a flicker of strength between them. Had to break the connection. Sudden surge of courage. They turned to flee toward the door and leaving the shadows of the past behind. But knowing full well they would never escape the memories Dallas might return one day. And the secrets would whisper patiently, waiting, twined in the reflections of mirrors that held their stories close. They escaped the grip of Bloody Mary's realm. They could still hear her haunting whisper lingering in the bathroom, a promise and a threat wrapped in one chilling breath. The experience had changed them, marking a turning point, a harsh lesson in curiosity and respect for the realms beyond their understanding. Now, as they stepped out into the light beyond, faint echoes of the legend remained, a constant reminder of the consequences that sought them beneath the veil of darkness. Lila felt the heavy silence envelop her, drowning in the tension that had woven itself tightly around the trio. The shadows seemed to twist and lean closer, almost as if they were straining to catch whispered secrets. Hence the weight of Tyler's revelation settling like a leaden shroud. Air crackled with an unnerving energy, palpable fear that throbbed against her chest, pushing her closer to confront the very darkness they had sought to summon. Emma's heart raced as she watched Lila grapple with the implications of Tyler's words. A mirror flickered ominously in response, a ghastly reflection of their fear and strife. Lila's expression shifted from surprise to alarm, her mind racing as she considered the truth that had been thrust into the light. Once private now hung dangerously in the balance, manipulated by the force they had awakened. The apparition in the mirror shifted, her presence amplifying the undercurrents of anxiety among the friends. Lila felt a shiver that coursed down her spine, a warning resonating deep within her. This was a reckoning. A vengeful spirit demanded recognition, and Lila's heart trembled under the weight of it all. Reality blurred, and for a fleeting moment, she felt the tenuous strings of their friendship stretching taut as they all stood on the precipice of the unknown. Tyler, in his attempt to maintain bravado, began to regret his impulsive outburst. Emma's eyes narrowed, and Lila felt the sting of betrayal weave through her thoughts like a serpent. Certainty flickered across their expressions, replacing the thrill they had felt just moments before. The room vibrated with a tension that was no longer creatively adventurous. It had transformed into a spectacle of dread. "You say that," Lila finally murmured, hurt pooling in the corners of her voice. Couldn't help but wonder if her curiosity about the legend had brought them all here, to this moment twisted in turmoil. Emma's gaze flitted between the two boys, the fear etched on her face deepening with each passing second, urging a desperate plea for clarity amidst the chaos. A bid to reclaim some semblance of power in this growing tempest of emotion, Tyler took a step back, feeling cornered under their accusatory gazes. "Didn't mean it like that," he stammered, his facade peeling away under the spirit's otherworldly scrutiny. A mirror trembled again, dark waves pulsating against its surface, reflecting the turmoil among the friends. Lila's pulse quickened, the boundary between terror and fascination dwindling with each heartbeat. A reality of the situation dawned on her. Revealing secrets was only the beginning, and they had struck the very core of the legend. Caught in the haunting glow of the candles, shadows began to snake across the walls, eerily mirroring the vibrations of impending dread. Lila could feel the pull of Bloody Mary intensifying, her sorrow blooming into a hunger for acknowledgement, demanding recognition of the pain that had birthed her vengeful spirit. Within that moment of dark clarity, Lila understood that silence would not protect them, not now. We need to be honest. The words spilled from her lips as she fought to draw strength from the depths of her own fear. To confront this together. Emma's face contorted with worry, but she nodded, her hands trembling slightly as she gripped the edges of the sink. Eiler opened his mouth to argue, but the gleam in Lila's eyes held a fierce determination, compelling him to yield. A tension stirred around them, thickening with anticipation as Lila took a breath, the air swirling cold and brittle between them. They stood collectively encircled by shadows, each one harboring their fears. With courage undefined and shaky, Lila admitted her own truth, the fear that had lurked beneath the surface for so long. Angst to the haunting legend they invoked felt raw and exposed, echoing in the depths of the bathroom as a confession carried by the candlelight. She spoke, the atmosphere shifted again, and for a fleeting moment, the whispers intensified, swirling about them, weaving a tapestry of their shared fears. Eiler listened, his bravado fracturing with each whispered word. No longer just a game. They were participants within an unfolding tale, a narrative spiraling into the realms of their own hidden truths. Emma found her voice next, timid yet resolute, pledging to join Lila in honoring the specter that had intertwined itself with their lives. "Keep running from this," she whispered. "Not anymore." Their words acted as a bridge, stepping over the chasm of fear that had grown between them. Eiler felt the grip of fear slacken, allowing space for understanding to penetrate the lingering dread. They stood together, hearts bared to the shadows, acknowledging the power that bound them to Bloody Mary, a consequence of curiosity given flesh and horror. The apparition writhed, form racked with echoes of sorrow as she reached out through the mirror, the tether between them snapping with silence hanging heavily in the air. Reflections of their fears rippled like spectral water beneath the surface, threatening to swallow them whole. Yet Lila stood resolute. "Bloody Mary, we acknowledge you." Lila's voice rang clear, cutting through the darkness. "Honor your pain." In that moment, the air shattered like glass, splintering into an ethereal whirlwind of whispers and emotions pouring out from the depths of the mirror. The darkness entwined with their fears, threatening both dissolution and reconciliation as they faced the shadows, all the while knowing that true courage was not the absence of fear, but the willingness to confront. The shadows began to coalesce, forming a dazzling figure cloaked in wretched longing. They braced themselves, hearts thrumming wildly as they felt the powerful tide shift. Recognized that the encounter was only just beginning, as the energy of the legend surged within them, a winding path yet to explore. With uncertainty swirling around them, they understood one thing above all. They had stepped into a legend, a very real manifestation of their fears, regrets, and unspoken truths, and their journey had only just begun. Air crackled with anticipation, echoing the whispered promise that lay just beyond the mirror, waiting to reveal secrets that were destined to haunt them long after this encounter had faded into the shadows. The darkness wrapped around them as the bathroom door creaked open, a shiver coursing through Lila, Emma, and Tyler. Shadows whispered amongst themselves, haunting the trio as they stood trembling before the cracked mirror, each jagged shard resonating with the tension they had unleashed. The air was thick, pulsing with the energy of the spirit they had summoned, a being who was not pleased to be disturbed. Lila's heart raced as she felt the weight of Bloody Mary's gaze, a malevolent force swirling around her. Terrified and entranced, finding a strange exhilaration in the presence of something so powerful. Yet, that same thrill was overshadowed by a deep dread, the knowledge that they had ventured into a territory where legends held power over the living. "Oh, we should stop." Emma's voice trembled as fear clawed at her throat. Her instinct screamed for them to flee, but it was too late. The connection had been established, and the atmosphere crackled with anticipation as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Feeling the charged silence build, Tyler took a step forward, emboldened by the mixture of bravado and anxiety that permeated the room. Urgency pulled at him, pushing him closer to the mirror's fractured surface, where Bloody Mary's shadow still flickered like an unfinished story waiting for a reader. "We're going to do this. You have to see it through," he insisted, his voice thick with confidence that wavered just at the edges. Lila hesitated, feeling a tumultuous mix of emotions swirling within her. The darkness called to her enticing yet threatening, a siren song of lost secrets and hidden horrors. Forward, her eyes locked onto the mirror as though it held the answers to questions she had not yet asked. Then, without warning, the apparition shifted, transforming from wispy shadows into a more defined figure, a macabre reflection of sorrow and wrath. He floated before them, her features shrouded in darkness, but the intent behind her gaze was unmistakable. Essence of Bloody Mary beckoned them closer, yearning to awaken the untold stories buried within their souls. "Tyler, don't," Emma cried, her voice breaking through the fog of Lila's curiosity. Urging of fear had little effect on him. In that moment, he spoke unwittingly of their deeper fears, seeking the truth not just about the spirit but of themselves. "Tell us what you want," Tyler shouted, seeking to assert control over a situation that was rapidly spiraling out of their grasp. The moment his words left his mouth, the atmosphere thickened, the air growing stale as if the spirit had absorbed the essence of his challenge. If in response, Bloody Mary's voice floated through the air, echoing with the pain of 1,000 whispered secrets. "Ruth, long forgotten cries for acknowledgement," she murmured, her tone a haunting melody that wound around them like a vine closing in. Each word unraveled the bond of friendship, bringing to light the shadows that lay hidden in the hearts of the three friends. Lila felt an involuntary chill run down her spine as awareness dawned on her. Essence of the legend was entwined with their lives, their fears laid bare before the ghostly figure. Everything they had kept locked away, a collection of insecurities, betrayals, and regrets now hung heavy in the air, waiting to be confronted. "Your deepest fears shall be revealed," Bloody Mary whispered, her eyes gleaming with the sorrow of ages past, and Lila grasped Emma's hand tighter, desperation flooding her heart. This was a test, one not of strength but of acknowledgement and acceptance. And, in a moment of chaos, Tyler blurted out Lila's secret, something she had never imagined would escape his lips. "We're scared of being forgotten. We want to be remembered." The words crumbled around them like falling glass, haunting accusation that carried weight far beyond the bathroom walls. Emma's eyes widened in disbelief, and Lila felt the heat of shame rise to her cheeks. The shadows thickened, swirling ominously as Bloody Mary's rage intensified in reaction to the vulnerability revealed. The mirror trembled, shards hovering for an eternity. Lila understood one visceral truth. They had awakened not just the spirit, but the realities that haunted their lives. "Enough," Lila screamed, her voice slicing through the spiraling chaos. A courage she had summoned surged forth, replacing her fear with determination. "I need to end this." But as she stepped away from the mirror, striving to break the bond that was spinning dangerously out of control, Bloody Mary unleashed her fury. The lights flickered violently. A cacophony of whispers swirled with uninterrupted intensity, drawing all three friends into a whirlwind of anguish and revelation. "Leave while you can," the apparition bellowed, her form oscillating between coherence and mayhem, a tempest born of betrayal and haunting regret. "Face the truths you tried to hide." In that moment of raw emotion, a flash of understanding surged within Lila. He realized that while her secrets were hers to bear, it had created a web of connection among them, a reflection of their collective fears and vulnerabilities. Gathering her strength, she turned to her friends. "Face what we've brought into this." Tyler and Emma exchanged a glance, fear giving way to a fragile alliance formed in the darkness. A step backward, inching toward the door, the weight of the legends echoing behind them. They turned to flee, cursed whispers trailed after them, entreating them not to forget the shadows they carried. The chaos, Lila found a voice of clarity inside her, echoing the lessons learned this fateful night. Each secret revealed brought a semblance of liberation, unfurling a path of understanding among them. Despite the haunting figure that lingered, their bond strengthened. They burst through the door and into the well-lit hallway. The air felt lighter though layered with lingering shadows. Glimpsed the darkness, an acknowledgement of their fears and regrets. Echoes of Bloody Mary's wrath faded behind them. A whisper in the stillness reminded them that the truth always prevails. A mirror trembled silently, promising to wait, always seeking the next soul willing to stand before it. Together, forever changed, Lila, Emma, and Tyler stepped away, daybreak ushering in a new dawn, their friendship palpable, yet now shaded eternally by the legend they dared to challenge. The aftermath of their chilling encounter, Lila, Emma, and Tyler stood shaken but resolute within the confines of the dim bathroom, the flickering candlelight casting erratic shadows along the walls. The air felt thick with remnants of the energy that had surged around them, a cocktail of fear and revelation that hung heavily in the atmosphere. And more than just a spirit, they had awakened truths that were entwined within their own lives. A mirror, once a simple reflective surface, now bore the marks of their audacity, the cracks a testament to their unsettling communion with Bloody Mary. Lila's heart raced as the events played like a haunting film within her mind. The spirit's sorrow, the weight of her tragic past pressing down on them, intertwining with their own fears. Emma, still clutching the edge of the sink, turned to Lila, her eyes wide with a mixture of disbelief and fear. The dark shadows that had previously danced playfully seemed less inviting now, lurking as if waiting for another misstep. The experience had been terrifying. Something had also shifted, a connection that tethered them not just to the spirit but to each other. They had faced darkness together, and in that shared experience, a silent understanding had blossomed. Tyler, who had reveled in the thrill of the moment only moments earlier, felt an unsettling solitude creep in. He had pushed boundaries in a bid to demonstrate courage, but the realization of what lay beyond those limits weighed heavily on him now. The atmosphere was thick with unspoken truths, the silence amplifying the fears that they had uncovered together. "There's something we need to do." Lila's voice broke through the stillness, surprisingly steady amidst the fear that throbbed in the air. "Just leave it like this. To appease her, to acknowledge what we've done." Both Emma and Tyler turned to her, skepticism and concern etched onto their faces. Sensed something deeper within them, an understanding that their journey was not yet over. Resolve sparked within Emma's wide eyes, and she nodded slowly, her expression shifting from fear to determination. "You mean appease her?" Tyler's voice cracked slightly, his bravado diminishing in the face of the unknown consequences they now faced. "Tell her our truths," Lila explained, her voice almost a whisper, yet carrying the weight of what needed to be done. "Confess to being afraid, but we need to be honest. About everything." The three stood in a tight circle, each understanding the gravity of Lila's words. This moment of vulnerability, they stood side by side, united by an unspoken pact that had formed in the chaos. Emma spoke first, gathering her courage as she took a deep breath. "I'm scared of what I might become," she admitted, her voice trembling yet sincere. "Lose my friends to the darkness of our past." The room grew colder, shadows swirling around them, intensifying the atmosphere's weight. But as Emma's honesty spoke through the silence, the whispers from the mirror grew clearer, intertwining with her voice, echoing her acknowledgement in a way that felt almost comforting. Tyler hesitated but stood resolute, his heart racing as he faced the spirit that demanded recognition. "I'm afraid of being seen as weak," he added, his voice firm despite the wavering fear that lingered in the corner of his mind. "He's tried to be the brave one, and now, I know that courage doesn't mean hiding your fears. To own my truth." They each turned to Lila, eyes filled with a mix of gratitude and apprehension, waiting for her to speak. Gulping down her own fears, Lila took a step forward, standing steadfast amidst the chaos surrounding them. "I'm afraid of what happens if we carry secrets. I fear the stories we tell ourselves and the way they can isolate us." As each truth was spoken, The atmosphere shifted with an intensity both exhilarating and horrifying. They could feel Bloody Mary's presence coiling tighter around them, her energy resonating with theirs as the connection deepened. That moment, the specter's sorrow seemed to transform into a poignant understanding of shared human experience, as if she too felt the weight of their revelation. A mirror began to shimmer, the cracks glowing with an ethereal light. Twisted together like a spectral tapestry, revealing fleeting images, snatches of the life Mary had once lived, where her own darkness had flourished, filled with unfulfilled dreams, regret, and the echo of betrayal. They bore witness to her plight, a poignant reminder of their own struggles. Encouraged by the manifestations of their truths echoing through the still room, the trio shared their collective fears as the whispering shadows began to bond against the bathroom wall. They faced the haunting legend of Bloody Mary not just as a chilling tale, but as an opportunity to confront the darkness together, united and stronger than ever. The energy swirled like a tempest within the confines of the small bathroom. Lila raised her voice for the last time. "See you, Bloody Mary. Acknowledge your pain. You are not forgotten." In a blinding flash, the veil of darkness parted like heavy curtains, revealing a glimpse of the spirit's true self, no longer shrouded in malice but cloaked in resolved sorrow. For an instant, the room was filled with a nostalgic warmth, candles' flames flickering with life, illuminating the shadows that had once held them captive. The presence that had terrified them melted away, dissolving into silent whispers that filled the air with clarity, a gentle reminder that legends were born from pain but could evolve through understanding. Hush fell over them, a sense of peace wrapping around their shoulders like a protective cloak as they stared into the mirror, facing not just the ghostly reflection but their own truths entwined with the past. That moment of shared understanding had transformed the fearful encounter into one of healing, a cathartic release that bound them together against the uncertainties that lay ahead. The shadows dissipated. Lila, Emma, and Tyler stood united, knowing that while the legend of Bloody Mary would linger in cornered whispers, something new, a legacy of courage and authenticity that would carry them forward, away from the enigma they had once summoned. Even as they left the bathroom behind, the echoes of their encounter would forever remain, each whisper reminding them of the lessons they had learned and the darkness they had embraced together. The legend of Bloody Mary had become not just a tale of trepidation, but a gentle nudge towards self-discovery, knitting their friendship together with threads of respect and understanding that would guide them in the days to come.